Welcome! Today we are looking at variation and adaptation. This is topic 3 in your SS3 biology series. This topic appears regularly in section A of your examinations. Pay close attention. Let us begin. First, let me explain what variation is. Variation is the differences between individuals of the same species. It is a fundamental characteristic of life. No two individuals are exactly alike. This includes differences in physical appearance, physiology, behaviour, and genetics. Variation is the raw material for evolution. Without variation, evolution cannot occur. Variation is essential for the survival of species. It allows populations to adapt to changing environments. It increases the chances of survival. Understanding variation is essential for understanding biology. Now, let me explain the types of variation. There are two main types: continuous variation and discontinuous variation. Continuous variation is variation in which traits show a range of values. There are no distinct categories. Examples include height, weight, and skin colour. Continuous variation is influenced by multiple genes. It is also influenced by environmental factors. The distribution of continuous variation follows a normal distribution. This is a bell-shaped curve. Discontinuous variation is variation in which traits fall into distinct categories. There are no intermediate forms. Examples include blood type, eye colour, and tongue rolling. Discontinuous variation is controlled by one or few genes. It is not influenced by environmental factors. The distribution of discontinuous variation follows a discrete pattern. Both types of variation are important in biology. Now, let me explain the causes of variation. Variation is caused by several factors. The first is genetic factors. Genes determine traits. Different alleles produce different phenotypes. The second is environmental factors. The environment can influence traits. Examples include nutrition, temperature, and light. These factors can affect growth and development. The third is genetic recombination. During sexual reproduction, genes are recombined. This produces new combinations of alleles. This increases variation. The fourth is mutation. Mutations are changes in DNA. They create new alleles. They are the ultimate source of variation. These factors work together to produce variation in populations. Now let me explain the importance of variation. Variation is important for several reasons. First, it allows adaptation. Populations with variation can adapt to changing environments. Second, it supports evolution. Variation is the raw material for natural selection. Third, it increases survival. Individuals with advantageous traits are more likely to survive. Fourth, it supports biodiversity. Variation contributes to the diversity of life. Fifth, it supports agriculture. Variation in crops and livestock allows for selective breeding. Sixth, it supports medicine. Variation in humans affects susceptibility to diseases. Variation is essential for life. Now, let me explain adaptation. Adaptation is the process by which organisms become better suited to their environment. It is a result of natural selection. Adaptations are traits that increase an organism's fitness. Fitness is the ability to survive and reproduce. Adaptations can be structural, physiological, or behavioural. Structural adaptations are physical features. Examples include the long neck of a giraffe and the beak of a bird. Physiological adaptations are internal processes. Examples include temperature regulation and toxin production. Behavioral adaptations are actions. Examples include migration and courtship displays. Adaptations are essential for survival. Now, let me explain structural adaptations in detail. Structural adaptations are physical features that help organisms survive. Examples include camouflage. Camouflage is coloration that blends with the environment. It helps organisms avoid predators. Another example is mimicry. Mimicry is resemblance to another organism. It can protect organisms from predators. Examples include the viceroy butterfly mimicking the monarch butterfly. Another example is body shape. Aquatic animals have streamlined bodies. This reduces drag in water. Desert animals have adaptations for conserving water. They have long legs and large ears. These help them dissipate heat. Structural adaptations are diverse and widespread. Now let me explain physiological adaptations in detail. Physiological adaptations are internal processes that help organisms survive. Examples include temperature regulation. Mammals and birds are endotherms. They maintain a constant body temperature. Reptiles and fish are ectotherms. Their body temperature varies with the environment. Another example is water conservation. Desert animals have physiological adaptations for conserving water. They produce concentrated urine. They have low metabolic rates. Another example is toxin production. Some organisms produce toxins for defense. Examples include snakes, spiders, and poison dart frogs. Physiological adaptations are essential for survival in extreme environments. Now let me explain behavioral adaptations in detail. Behavioral adaptations are actions that help organisms survive. Examples include migration. Migration is the movement from one area to another. It allows animals to find food and suitable breeding grounds. Examples include birds and wildebeest. Another example is hibernation. Hibernation is a state of inactivity. It allows animals to survive winter. Examples include bears and groundhogs. Another example is courtship displays. Courtship displays attract mates. They are used in sexual selection. Examples include bird songs and peacock displays. Behavioral adaptations are diverse and complex. Now let me explain adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation is the rapid evolution of many species from a single ancestor. It occurs when organisms colonize new environments. They evolve adaptations to different ecological niches. An example is Darwin's finches on the Galapagos Islands. They evolved different beak shapes. These were adapted to different food sources. Another example is the marsupials of Australia. They evolved into many different forms. These include kangaroos, koalas, and wombats. Adaptive radiation is an important pattern in evolution. Now, let me explain the types of adaptations in different environments. Organisms in different environments have different adaptations. In aquatic environments, organisms have adaptations for swimming. They have streamlined bodies and fins. In desert environments, organisms have adaptations for conserving water. They have long legs, large ears, and thick skin. In cold environments, organisms have adaptations for retaining heat. They have thick fur, fat, and small extremities. In tropical environments, organisms have adaptations for dealing with heat and humidity. They have large ears, thin fur, and behavioral adaptations. Each environment presents unique challenges. Organisms adapt to these challenges. Now, let me explain variation in human populations. Human populations show variation in many traits. These include skin colour, height, and blood type. Skin colour varies with latitude. Populations near the equator have darker skin. This protects against UV radiation. Populations near the poles have lighter skin. This allows for vitamin D synthesis. Height varies with genetics and nutrition. Blood type varies with population. The ABO blood system has 4 types. Type O is the most common. Type AB is the least common. These variations reflect evolutionary history. Now let me explain the relationship between variation and adaptation. Variation is the raw material for adaptation. Natural selection acts on variation. Individuals with advantageous traits are more likely to survive. They pass these traits to offspring. Over time, these traits become more common. The population becomes better adapted to its environment. This is how evolution occurs. Variation and adaptation are closely linked. They are both essential for evolution. Now let me explain the importance of adaptation for survival. Adaptation is essential for survival. Organisms that are well adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and reproduce. Organisms that are poorly adapted are less likely to survive. They may go extinct. Adaptations allow organisms to exploit resources. They allow organisms to avoid predators. They allow organisms to cope with environmental challenges. Adaptation is essential for the persistence of species. Now, let me explain examples of adaptation in plants. Plants have many adaptations. Structural adaptations include thorns and spines. These protect against herbivores. Another adaptation is waxy cuticles. These reduce water loss. Physiological adaptations include photosynthesis. This is the process by which plants make their own food. Another adaptation is the ability to store water. Succulents store water in their leaves. Behavioural adaptations include growth towards light. This is called phototropism. Plants are adapted to their environments in many ways. Now, let me explain examples of adaptation in animals. Animals have many adaptations. Structural adaptations include wings for flight. They include fins for swimming. Physiological adaptations include the ability to regulate body temperature. Behavioural adaptations include migration and hibernation. Animals are adapted to their environments in diverse ways. These adaptations allow them to survive and thrive. Now let me give you sample exam questions. Define variation. Variation is the differences between individuals of the same species. Distinguish between continuous and discontinuous variation. Continuous variation shows a range of values. Discontinuous variation shows distinct categories. State the causes of variation. Variation is caused by genetic factors, environmental factors, genetic recombination, and mutation. Define adaptation. Adaptation is the process by which organisms become better suited to their environment. List the types of adaptations. Adaptations can be structural, physiological, or behavioural. Explain adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation is the rapid evolution of many species from a single ancestor. Let me summarise. Variation is the differences between individuals. There are 2 types: continuous variation and discontinuous variation. Variation is caused by genetic and environmental factors. Variation is important for adaptation and evolution. Adaptation is the process by which organisms become better suited to their environment. There are three types of adaptations: structural, physiological, and behavioural. Adaptive radiation is the rapid evolution of many species. Variation and adaptation are essential for evolution and survival. Practice these concepts. When you have them down, move to topic 4.